When Sophie Cunningham left her feet and delivered that hard foul, she didn't just react to a teammate in peril, she ignited a controversy that's tearing at the league's foundations and sending shockwaves far beyond the hardwood.
With that, you guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
All season long, the WNBA's officiating has drawn more scrutiny than the highlight reels every game seems to feature at least one no-call that fans. And analysts can't stop talking about traveling violations, missed flagrant fouls ignored, and tight calls that swing momentum.
Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical. And in last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea.
Rookie sensation Caitlin Clark has repeatedly borne the brunt of this chaos, shoved into the paint with no whistle, elbowed mid-drive, and left a claw for every loose ball while referees stayed silent. Post-game interviews circled back to the same question: why isn't the league protecting its biggest draw? Social feeds exploded.
Just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
You know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
Hashtag protect the rookie dominated Twitter, and montage videos of Clark's hardest hits racked up millions of views even. Veteran players voiced frustration in locker rooms, lamenting that the rookie phenom was treated as fair game.
Sophie Cunningham's jersey is going to sell out tonight. The people have been waiting for this. If the refs are not going to do their job, the players are going to have to be the enforcers themselves. This game was chippy from the beginning, and the refs did not do their job. JC Sheldon pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye, and then Caitlin gets chucked to the ground by Marina Mabry. And the Indiana Fever girls are just supposed to be like, yeah, no worries, no big deal. No one was ejected for that, but we're just going to play cool. No, finally someone was like, no, I'm going to stand on business.
Attendance dipped in some markets as fans questioned the integrity of the competition. With every contested rebound in hard cream, the undercurrent of tension grew more electric. It was only a matter of time before someone decided that inaction wasn't an option. Nobody, however, expected it to be Sophie Cunningham. That night, the tension in the arena was almost tangible. Early in the second quarter, Caitlin Clark drove hard to the basket and felt a sudden stinging swipe to the jaw. No whistle, no warning.
An intentional hard foul where she knew she wouldn't hurt JC Sheldon, but she sent a message. It didn't need to get to this point though. It's the referee's fault. Where did they find these referees? Behind the cash register at Sephora? They took nearly 20 minutes to review that play where Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye. And they came back and gave out 3 techs and 1 flagrant to JC Sheldon. If you guys don't remember, in the last game that the Fever played the Sun, JC Sheldon took out Sydney Colson's leg and was part of the reason that Sophie re-injured her ankle. So do I promote violence? No. But did somebody need to stand on business in this situation? Yes. All I know is there is about to be a lot more Sophie Cunningham fans.
Minutes later, Marina Mabry barreled into her from the side, sending Clark sprawling across the hardwood, clutching her shoulder. As the crowd erupted in shock, yet still no call, whispers of outrage swelled into a unified roar. With every replay on the Jumbotron, the silence from the officiating crew felt more deafening. Sophie Cunningham, watching from her defensive position, saw more than just a teammate in peril. She saw the league's failure laid bare. Striding purposefully across the paint, she intercepted the very player who had floored Clark in a single decisive motion. Sophie delivered a hard foul, her shoulder driving into the opponent's midsection with such force that the entire arena seemed to flinch. The impact resonated. Opponents halted, spectators gasped, and Clark rose, eyes wide, acknowledging her protector.
We'll take all media questions today, but we're just supposed to read from a script, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. On behalf of my teammates and every member of our union, I want to be very clear that we remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately, but we do want to set the record straight, not for the headlines, but for the fans who support us and deserve transparency, what's at stake. This is a defining moment in the WNBA. As the league grows, it's time for the CBA that reflects our true value. We are fighting for a fair share of business that we built because it is a business. We are fighting for anything. We are not fighting for anything that's unreasonable.
It wasn't just the physicality of the hit, it was what it represented, a refusal to stand by while injustice prevailed. In that split second, Sophie sent a message far louder than any whistle. When the league won't protect its stars' teammates, while broadcast commentators froze mid-sentence, social media feeds exploded. And for a brief electric moment, every camera in the arena was fixed on Sophie Cunningham. She had crossed the line. And in doing so, she redrew it entirely within minutes. Video clips exploded across social media. ESPN replayed Sophie's hit in slow motion, commentators pausing mid-broadcast to debate the legality of her shoulder-to-torso fall on TikTok, creators with cinematic edits and sound effects into the footage, turning it into a mini-epic. One clip garnered over 2 million views in just hours. Twitter users split down the middle, some calling her actions a necessary act of justice, others decrying it as an unsafe overstep. Almost overnight, the bodyguard became Sophie's unofficial title. Fan artists slathered the nickname across digital posters. Hashtags like Bodyguard Cunningham and Stand with Sophie trended regionally. Meanwhile, jersey sales hit record highs. Clark's number 22 had been sold out league-wide, but in the wake of Sophie's hit, her number 15 shirts flew off shelves in limited edition runs, prompting WNBA merch teams to scramble for new inventory.
Guess whose jersey sold out today? The one and only Sophie Cunningham, aka the Enforcer and Caitlin Clark's bodyguard. Sophie Cunningham defended the face of basketball, and America was in love. I've honestly never seen so many people agree on one thing on Twitter, and they did last night. And also realizing that you wouldn't want to fight Sophie Cunningham after seeing this.
Two competing petitions surfaced on Change. Org, one demanding Sophie's ban be upheld and extended to a permanent suspension, the other praising her courage and calling for her immediate reinstatement. Each petition racked up over 25,000 signatures within the first 48 hours. Sports podcasts ran special episodes dissecting frame-by-frame footage, while mainstream morning shows that rarely cover women's basketball aired debate segments on whether the league had mishandled both Clark's protection and Cunningham's punishment. An incident that began with a no call in the paint had erupted into a full-blown cultural moment, one that even the WNBA's executive offices could no longer contain. Just 3 days after Cunningham's hit, the WNBA handed down a suspension, calling her actions detrimental to the integrity of the league. That move only set the stage for an even bigger confrontation. Sophie's legal team filed a federal lawsuit naming Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and the league, accusing them of defamation and selective enforcement. The complaint argues that the league's characterization of her fall as malicious tarnished her professional reputation, and that nearly identical hits by other players had gone unpunished. According to the filing's, reports suggest this disciplinary action was driven more by a desire to control the narrative than by a consistent application of rules. Cunningham isn't just fighting for the games and paychecks she's demanding a formal retraction of the league's statement, expungement of the suspension from her record, and official acknowledgement that her intent was defensive, not offensive. Supporting exhibits cite multiple past incidents where hard fouls went unnoticed or resulted in nothing more than a warning, instances involving marquee players who received no formal discipline. Sophie's attorneys contend that punishing her so harshly sends a chilling message: stand up for your teammate at your own risk. Now, as legal teams on both sides sift through league policies, precedents, and communications, the WNBA's internal consistency and Engelbert's leadership face unprecedented scrutiny. Inside the WNBA's executive suites, panic replaced the usual post-game calm. Insiders confirmed that emergency meetings were convened within 24 hours of Sophie's lawsuit, some suggesting the league is weighing revisions to its disciplinary handbook to avoid similar challenges. The fear if Cunningham wins or even settles every suspension could become fair game for legal action, dragging locker room conflicts into courtrooms rather than resolving them on the floor. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has stayed conspicuously quiet, issuing no public comment on the suit or its broader implications that silence has only fueled speculation? Was the league blindsided, or is Engelbert recalibrating her response behind closed doors? Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark offered a carefully worded nod to teamwork, praising those who stand up for each other, a subtle acknowledgement that didn't directly address the lawsuit but spoke volumes about where her loyalties lie in the Fever locker room. Teammates described Sophie as composed and focused, unfazed by the whirlwind she set in motion. They emphasized that this is the same player who usually keeps her head down, letting her game speak for her now. However, Cunningham finds herself at the epicenter of a potential paradigm shift. Will the WNBA double down on its authority, or will it adapt to a new era where players can and will fight back through the courts? Sophie's hit didn't just dominate sports pages, it crashed through the morning shows that seldom mentioned women's hoops, devoted full segments to her case, dissecting every angle of the replay. True crime podcast pivoted to sports justice, interviewing legal experts on whether Cunningham's lawsuit could reshape league discipline. Even late-night hosts quipped about the court in the courtroom, turning her defiance into mainstream fodder. Off the air, Sophie's brand exploded. Energy drink companies pitched Fuel the Fire campaigns. Athletic, where Lines drafted her as their next ambassador. Talk show producers courted her for the ultimate redemption arc. Merchandise teams raced to press limited edition jerseys emblazoned with bodyguard on the back. Each pre-order sold out within hours. Agents now whisper that her endorsement deals could quadruple her WNBA salary this season. What started as a teammate defending a star has evolved into a cultural flashpoint, one that forces fans and executives alike to reckon with questions of loyalty, safety, and power in professional sports. In the court of public opinion, Cunningham isn't just a player, she's a symbol. And her story is far from over. As this legal showdown unfolds, the WNBA stands at a crossroads. Will it uphold the status quo and risk further alienating players and fans, or embrace a new era of accountability that values loyalty and boldness? Sophie Cunningham's challenge isn't just about one foul or a single suspension, it's a reckoning for an entire league. Fans have declared her a fighter, a protector, a challenger to a system they believe has failed its stars. And in the charged silence from Commissioner Engelbert's office, one thing is clear: Sophie's case could rewrite the rule book for how the WNBA handles justice, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between teammates.